morning, everyone.
Hold on. Okay.
Thanks for helping me out. Today we're going to talk about workplace communication and how we can improve workplace communication. Communication is a problem at work, at home, with our families. A lot of the issues and trouble we have usually go back to poor communication. So today we want to focus on communication at work. You know, we have to work together. We have stuff we have to get done, and communication is an important part of that. There's a website called Rocky Mountain Chamber, and Christy Taylor has an article called Effective Workplace Communication, More a Necessity Than Ever. And she cites a couple surveys and says effective communication was the most important quality a good leader could possess. But in the same surveys, it says that effective communication was one of the traits the leaders lack the most. So communication is a problem in the workplace. So our purpose for a few minutes today is to look at 6 ways we can improve our communication here at work. Clear communication gets things done better. When we don't communicate well, we don't understand each other, we get frustrated. When we're not communicating clearly with each other, not listening to each other, things just don't get done right, or things have to be done again. So clear communication is important. And it's important that we understand each other the first time, so we don't have to do things again. So we're going to keep it simple. We're going to look at 2 things, listening and speaking. So the first thing is listening, and a lot of times we're just poor listeners at work, at home. We're just poor listeners. Everyone hears. Hearing is easy. We can hear everything around us all the time. But listening is actually an action. Listening is actually something that you have to do on purpose to be a good listener. Another website called Employee Motivation and Skills has an article called The 13 Barriers to Effective Business Communication. And the number 1 barrier is we don't listen. We just don't listen well. So we're going to talk about what I call active listening and 3 things we can do to be active listeners. And number 1 is stop what you're doing. If you're working on something, that's what your mind is going to be on. To listen to someone, you have to stop what you're doing. Our mind is always going to stay focused on what it is we're doing. We might be hearing them, but if we don't stop what we're doing, we can't focus our mind to listen. And the second thing is look at the speaker. You can't focus your mind on the person who's talking if you don't look at them. When you look at them, you make a connection with that speaker. And then your mind also focuses to listen to what they're saying. The 13 barriers we were talking about to communication, number 6 was our own emotional distractions. Our minds work so fast. Our minds have 100 things going at the same time. Thinking about our families, thinking about our bills, thinking about what we're doing after work, thinking about what we're doing this weekend. And to listen, we have to stop and look at the person, and that rearranges the priorities in our mind and focuses our mind to actually listen. I've been married 20 years, and only in the past few years have I really, on purpose, made it a habit to stop what I'm doing and look at my wife when she speaks. And she appreciates that. Even if I don't know the answer, she wants to know I'm listening. And it makes a big difference. And it makes a big difference at work. We have to work together. We have to get things done. We have to communicate. So if at all possible, stop and look at the person. And then the third thing to be an active listener is to be objective. We all have our own perceptions. We all have our own ideas. We all have our own opinions. And those things come right to the front of our mind when someone comes to talk to us. I may not like that guy. There's just something about him I don't like. Or I know what he has to say, and I already have an opinion about it. I have my own idea of how to do it. And that's what you have to try to put a stop to focus your mind and to be able to listen and to be able to hear what it's actually saying. And the 9 of the 13 barriers we were talking about to effective communication, number 9 was perception. It's our own block that we put up, our own opinion, our own ideas. You have to try to turn that off to be able to receive the message. There's a book I was reading called The Clarity Factor by Ray DiZazzo, and he talks about the 4 secrets to being clearly understood. And I thought it was going to be a book about speaking, you know, how I can speak and you're going to understand me. Well, one of the 4 things was, first and foremost, being a good listener. I can't give someone else a plan if I didn't get the plan myself, or we can't go fix the problem if we didn't first listen to the customer. So, and he calls it listening with clarity, and that's what he talks about. Stop what you're doing, look at the person, and be objective. Try to get your mind off of, you know, I don't like his shirt, or he never has a good idea, or why is he bugging me again? Try to be objective and hear what the person has to say. So to be an active listener, we have to stop what we're doing, look at the speaker, and focus on the message. Try to be objective to all the other things in our head. And then the second thing is clear speaking. We have to be a good listener, but we have to be a clear speaker. We do lots of talking. Everyone loves to talk. I love to talk. But when it comes to getting a job done, we have to make sure we're communicating clearly with each other. To get things done, we have to have clear communication. So 3 things to help us speak clear. Number 1 is focus the listener. Sometimes you have to get the person's attention. The person's busy. You know, we're in the middle of doing things. We have things on our mind. Sometimes you have to help the listener focus. And in the book, The Clarity Factor, he calls that magnify the listener's attention. You have to say something that gets their interest, that gets their attention, that makes their mind stop thinking about all the things that they think about and focus on you. So you have to focus the listener. You have to get their attention. And then the second thing is focus your message. We love to talk. We do lots of talking. But when a job needs to get done or a plan needs to be put in place, we have to make sure we're speaking clearly and we're getting across the message that needs to get across. We have to focus our message. We say too much. We just talk too much most of the time. We need to focus our message. And in the 13 barriers to good communication in business, number 5 was information overload. Sometimes we just give too much. And a good example is me in the morning. Sometimes I'm thinking about the whole day. Someone's got to keep an eye on the humidity. We got a gas truck coming today. The manager wanted us to get this done. I got an email from the customer about this. And so I may shotgun a bunch of things out there when really what I need to do is say, okay, Mike, this is the priority this morning. When we get that done, then we'll move on. Joe, this is your priority this morning. We need to focus our message to make sure we're being clear. And then the third thing is we need to present a clear picture. We can't assume that the listener knows what we need, because we all have our own ideas, we all have our own perceptions, we all have our own opinions, and we all have different backgrounds and different skills. We can't assume the other person knows what we mean. And again, on the 13 barriers to communication, number 9 was perception. And in the book, The Clarity Factor, one of the secrets of the 4 secrets he talks about is getting past personal barriers. I have to, if I'm going to speak clearly, I have to get past your perception of what I'm talking about. I have to find a way where I'm giving enough detail and giving enough specifics that the picture I have in my head is the same picture you're seeing. I have to paint the picture clear enough that we're both on the same page. A lot of times we just assume. We just assume, he knows what I mean. Well, if you didn't speak clearly and didn't focus your message and give enough detail, he doesn't know what you mean. And one of the best ways that the listener and the speaker can make sure we're on the same page understanding each other is ask questions. If you're the listener and you're not sure, ask for some clarification. And there's nothing wrong for the speaker to do the same thing. If he thinks the listener isn't really getting the message, then ask, do you understand what I mean? So we have to work together. So improving our communication at work requires active listeners and clear speakers. An active listener needs to stop what he's doing, if at all possible, look at the speaker, and try to be objective. Say, okay, we're trying to get a job done. I have to listen to what he's saying and focus on the message. And clear speakers. The speaker has to focus the listener. He has to do something to get the listener's attention. He has to have a focused message, exactly what he wants to get across, and he has to present a clear picture. So if with a active listener and a clear speaker, we can have effective communication, and effective communication gets stuff done. So to end, we're going to have two examples. We're going to have an example of poor communication, and we're going to try to have an example of good communication. And Mike's going to help me out with this. So I'm busy. I got stuff to do. I got to get work done here.
Hey, where we're working at over there, I don't think we have everything we need. You might want to check it out.
Yeah, all right. I'll swing by then. So that was our example of poor communication. I didn't do my job as the listener. I didn't stop what I was doing. I didn't even look at my, and all the things that I had going on, his message probably didn't get through. As soon as I get my next phone call, I've forgotten about Mike completely. Mike didn't try very hard to get my attention, and he didn't give me any specifics. He didn't give me any details. So we're going to do the same thing again, and this time we're going to have an example of good communication.
Hey, Shoe!
Hey, Mike, what's up?
The job at Op 400, we
Right.
need half-inch pipe fittings, and we need half-inch pipe. Can you get us the half-inch T's and the half-inch 90s over there?
Yeah, okay, so you need what do you need? You need half-inch T's, how many?
We need 10 half-inch T's and 10 half-inch 90s.
All right, no problem, I'll work on that.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, well, there's an example of good communication. The listener stopped what he was doing, looked at the speaker, and gave him his attention. Mike actually got my attention. He said, hey, this job can't get done. Well, that, because I want to get things done. So that focused my mind and said, hey, this is important. And he gave me specifics. He gave me exactly what he wanted me to do. I need this, and I need this. So that's clear communication, and clear communication gets things done. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.